right, school is getting back into session. Usually that means some stuff for the real estate market, but let's talk about what's going on in 2025. Hey everybody, Doug Reynolds here, your Sacramento area realtor. This is your monthly market video update talking about Sacramento real estate, what's going on in August 2025. And we're going to go over the stats for July. We're going to talk about what's going on in the market right now. And maybe, I usually don't do this, but maybe a little bit of a prediction kind of for the second half of this year. Okay, so let's take a look at the stats for July 2025. All right, median sales price. It's been floating right around that 550 point for quite a long time now. You know, going back almost a year or two, you know, it'll be down a little bit, it'll be up a little bit. This last month it was up a little bit. We're up to 558, 500, and that's down just a teeny bit from 560 a year ago. But basically that median's been just hovering there for, you know, a year and a half, 2 years now, right around that mid 500 range, mid 550 ish range there. Highest sales price in the county, these are all for Sacramento County. Highest sales price $3.645 million, the lowest 150,000. So we got a huge scale there of range. Now, if you take all the properties that sold and you compare them to what they were originally listed at, they're selling for about 97.2% of that original list price. So definitely some are selling above, some are selling below, but on average, about 2 to 3% less than that original list price. Okay. Here's where we get into some stuff I think is some interesting and some good news here, in my opinion. We sold over 1,000 homes in July. That's good news. We'd been below 1,000 or right around there. So 1,010 homes closed escrow in Sacramento County. That's up 12% from June. So we had a lot more properties close in July than we did in June. Down just barely a tiny bit from a year ago, but basically a solid number there that we're seeing a good amount of homes closed in July compared to June. Average days on the market right around 32 days. That's, you know, we're a little bit more on the market now than a year ago, but you know, we've been between 25 and 30 days on the market as kind of the average. Now, of all the homes that sold, basically about 40% of them had multiple offers on them. So 60% only just having one offer, but 40% of them have 2 or more on them. Okay, so you got to be, you know, the market is a mixed bag depending on how it's priced. Active listings, 2,373 actives at this moment in time right now, just a tiny tick up from June. Probably going to see that basically leveling off and starting to probably decline as we start moving forward into the fall here. And then year over year, we're up about 29-30% from a year ago. And that equates to 2.3 months of supply. The pending sales, 1,015 pendings right now, down a little bit from June, down a little bit from about a year ago. So that's kind of the data, but what's actually going on in the market? Well, the last couple of days, the interest rates have ticked down. We're kind of in the mid 6s now, where we've been in around 7, the low 7s for a while. So that's pretty substantial. I think moving forward, I'm quite bullish on the second half of the year in Sacramento real estate for 2025. I think we are going to start to see sales actually pick up a little bit here as we start heading into August, September, and October. Traditionally, things start to kind of taper at this time of year, but it's kind of just a combination of what's going on in my business, a little bit of conversations going on with other agents, lenders, and then interest rates. I've been talking about this for so long. This market is going to be driven by the interest rates. It looks like potentially the worst of the interest rate stuff might be behind us. We are in the mid 6s right now. I think if we can stay in the mid 6s or even tick down a little bit, I think we're gonna actually have some stimulation in the buyer activity here. Traditionally, we're kind of at the most inventory we usually have all year. We're gonna start to probably see the inventory maybe taper a little bit in the next 2-ish months or so, next month, 2 months, 3 months. But that buyer activity might actually start stimulating again because of those interest rates coming down. I think it's going to be an interesting combination. I really think we're going to have a solid second half of the year in 2025. We had pretty dull, pretty lackluster first half of the year. A lot of just tariff stuff, just a lot of interest rates, things going on, inflation, all that. That seems to have been kind of smoothed out for the most part. And I think moving forward, we're going to have some people start participating more in the market than we've seen in the first half of the year. I could be way wrong. This is just my gut. I've been selling real estate for almost 20 years now, and sometimes you just got these gut feelings. So moving forward, if you're a buyer, I'd say go for it right now. I think we're going to start to see buyer activity increase as we head through the end of this year into the beginning of 2026. I honestly think it's probably, you should be looking at what inventory is out there right now. Be ready. If something excellent comes on the market and it's priced really well, you're probably going to be one of those houses that have multiple offers on them, and you're going to be ready to compete. But there's a lot of stuff that's just been sitting out there. There's a lot of sellers out there that they don't want to lower their price, but they're more than willing to negotiate if they just were to get an offer. It's a really interesting dynamic. They just want to stay there at that number and, send me an offer, and then they're willing to come down even though they probably should just lower that price to begin with, and then the flurry of activity would happen. But so don't get discouraged as a buyer. If you see something that's out there that you're interested in, that you like, and they're close on price, you just, if it would come down, they're listed at $675, or really think maybe like $655 is kind of the price point there, $660, that kind of thing. Send an offer and do some negotiation, okay? Sellers. The sellers that are having the success right now, they're starting with the right price right out of the gate. They're one of those 40% of sales that are having multiple offers, and they're having a much smoother escrow process, less renegotiation going on, and those types of things. Make sure you price it right from the beginning. Buyers are educated. They understand what's going on in the market. You got to price it right, okay? If it's sitting, it's because you're overpriced, all right? So that's it for now. If you're looking to either buy or sell in the Sacramento area, feel free to reach out to me. You can find all my contact info at realestatewithdoug.com.